just for context for the two listeners that we
Powered by
have,
Riverside
Adi is
FM.
currently recording from his mom's basement with a super HD 12 station surround sound system and a massive plasma TV in front of him. And the only thing in
I
front of that
had
TV
to.
is a leather
Oh,
couch, which is basically now become the official corporate Pistons wank station. There, I said it. Hello and welcome everyone. Welcome to Corporate Pistons, episode 06, I believe we are now. How are you, Adi?
good, good. Uh, Actually, yes, it's episode 6, but it's actually a special episode. So I'm gonna call it special episode 01.
Oh,
To
great,
just,
another
just
naming convention
yeah,
fuck up.
because we are corporate pistons, and this is how corporate world fucks things up. To make things unnecessarily complex, and we have to keep the trend, or else what's the point of doing the podcast? So this is special
Indeed.
episode 01, which is technically episode 6, but really in the naming convention of the app that we use, it's episode 7. So it's quite complex now. It's awesome. We're
It's
truly
very corporate,
embracing
yeah.
the call. It is very, yeah, we're truly embracing the corporate culture. But
Must be
maybe
important if
Bogdan,
it has so many acronyms.
exactly. So let's get into why it's so important and why it's a special episode today.
Indeed. So it is special and it is important because it's the first episode where we actually have a guest, our very first
Yay!
guest here on the podcast. So I would like to introduce to our 2.5 listeners my good friend Ramon. You're here with us today.
Hello.
Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you guys for having me. Great to be here.
Our our pleasure.
We're
Thanks
super
for joining
excited.
this amazing world class, world famous podcast. Um, So, Ramon, you're here with us today because, on one hand, you're a very cool person and also a corporate nut
Oh, thank
like
you.
the rest of us.
Oh, aren't we
And I mean
all?
this in the most endearing way,
Absolutely.
indeed. And
I love
also,
the sarcastic undertone in Bogdan's voice constantly.
that's how I roll. That's how I got to where I'm in life at the moment.
I know.
Pure
Which probably says a
sarcasm.
lot.
Totally
Yeah,
appreciate
pure
that. I'm
sarcasm.
sure our
And
listeners would definitely appreciate that too.
given that you're 50% of our audience normally, Ramon, yeah, so you would know best what our listeners like.
Yes.
The
But
other
in
half of our audience is just another friend of ours. So it's between the four of us. So
he's
everybody
our
else
future
counts
guest
for
star.
the
Look, we got to start somewhere.
exactly.
Yeah.
So
So if you want to
we're
be a
happy.
guest on the podcast, just become a listener to ours. We'll pick you out at some point, you know.
Exactly.
Essentially, yes.
But yeah, Ramon, you're here with us today because we're also trying to discuss a very interesting theme for our episode today, and also
Hmm.
one where Adi and myself, we personally don't think we're the most qualified to give our inputs about it.
Absolutely
Um,
not.
because we are trying to talk about women in the workplace and in the corporate world, especially,
Hmm.
and you know how it is to be a woman in the corporate world, in male-dominated fields, stuff like that.
Yep.
And honestly, yeah, I personally don't think I have a word to say in that because that's how we get canceled very fast. Um,
Oh, I don't know. You can always do it with good grace.
yeah, but you know my big mouth, I'm gonna get canceled.
Yeah, I don't think grace is part of your finesse. It's all right. We can always add
That's
a little pizzazz to it from the female perspective.
yes, please. We need that in our lives.
Absolutely. Where would you like
So,
me to
Also,
start?
the other thing is mm, when Bogdan and I do the weekly podcast and we bitch about our way of or our corporate life,
Hmm.
uh, it's just our perspective and sort of limited to our company where we work.
Yep.
Even though we're in different countries, we do work for the same company, and the culture is more or less the same, I would say.
Hmm.
So
mhm.
the interesting here is, yes, one, we get your perspective as a woman, and we also get your perspective from a different company or a different corporate world from
Yep.
another completely other side of you. So
Yep.
why not, if you can, if you want, you don't have to go into any details. You don't have to use any sort of proper nouns. You can just use pronouns, if you will, everywhere, and maybe give us a small intro about yourself and just a quick 2 to 3 minute overview of yourself and what you do and things like that.
Yeah.
Would that be? Go for it.
Sure, Adi. Happy to. So I have worked across various different industries, and I cover like the Asia Pacific region, and it spans across just a very big range. I want to say that diversity is the spice of life, and if that's the case, then it's incredibly spicy. Probably
Mm-hmm.
like ass blowing level spicy because it goes into a massive range. I mean, I started initially, like I want to say every student would, being in retail. So, you really dig deep and find the whole new level of understanding humanity as an absolute
Mm-hmm.
foundation. And then
Mm-hmm.
I moved into, the area of HR, which is also another foundation of human beings, and
Yeah.
completely different ambiance there to retail, but it teaches you a lot. And I found out that HR just really wasn't something that was for me. So I moved
Mm.
into marketing. And that was
Nice.
where I thought I found my pizzazz. And the
Mm.
industries that, I covered ranged from working with semiconductors to going into aviation technology.
Oh,
And
nice.
and also, yeah, I enjoy the nerdy stuff. There was also what's the
Adi is
other
drooling
one?
right now, by the way.
I am like my couch is, everything that Bogdan accused me of earlier. It's even wetter now.
uh, well, I mean, I guess to add on to the nerdiness of that, there was also master planning and design. So that's also
Nice.
another one for engineering. And yeah, it was essentially just full on, very nerdy, techie industries. And it was really fun because one, you get to see so many diverse perspectives. And I've been lucky enough to at least, dip my toe into each of those unique ponds, so to speak.
Mm.
But I mean,
That's
it's
awesome,
not
Ramon.
without its shares of, I guess, interesting stories and
How are
experiences.
you liking the marketing side of things these days,
Marketing is,
especially with
yeah, go ahead.
AI and insane social media
Oh man.
stuff?
Well, one of the things I think you can definitely discuss with a lot of marketers out there is that if you want to talk to them about social media, if they really love what they do, they'll be really happy
Mm.
to just dive into it. But if they do
Mm-hmm.
it on a daily basis and they use it on a daily basis, especially for work and across
They'll
like the
hate
several
it.
marketing channels, they'll kind of look at
Yeah.
you with this self-depleted kind of face where I feel like the life of them has just been completely drained and, it's just been sucked out and they just really just kind of stare at you with this whole crestfallen look like, you really asking me this right now? I don't even
Yeah.
know what I'm doing, man.
Mention another word, see what happens next.
Yeah, like come at me, bro. With
Yeah, correct.
Instagram, with LinkedIn, I
So,
mean,
so,
yeah.
so where on this spectrum do you fall right now?
Where do I fall in this marketing spectrum? My marketing
Yeah,
spectrum has ranged from social media management to event management to I guess like also internal marketing, external marketing, above the line, below
mm,
the line. I mean, I could
mm,
bore you to death with marketing lingo, so to speak, but it covers an extremely wide and diverse range. And I think one of the things that's really unique about marketing is that you can cross so many different industries and it's applicable
yeah, yeah,
everywhere. It's
yeah.
just you
Well,
need to also be able to understand what product that you're looking to market.
that's where I was. That's why I was asking specifically because, as you may or may not know, I other than my corporate life, I also do have a small startup, and I do
Ooh.
lead the startup life in the evenings after I finish my main job.
Hmm.
And over the last 1.5 years, I've taught myself enough marketing to get by, and I'm slowly ramping things up, and I'm doing all that. That's the reason I asked. But
Hmm.
for this podcast, I don't want to completely go into that avenue, but yeah, we'll bring it back to the corporate side for you.
Sure.
I would have a question here, going a bit further back, since you were talking about different personas and different ranges of the human spectrum. I
Uh-huh.
was actually hoping, since you mentioned a bit of an HR background there, Ramon, I was hoping that
Yes.
you could help us either confirm or bust a myth that I heard going around, which is, you know how normally HR or the perception of HR in most companies are they are the ones policing the politically correctness and the sanity and professionalism of a workplace.
Yep.
I heard that in a lot of places, behind the closed doors of the HR office, it's the exact opposite atmosphere. It's like, it's political correctness outside the office or in front of HR, but HR behind closed doors is just this jungle of mayhem and judgment and prejudice and jokes and stuff like that.
Well,
How would you
I mean,
comment
I
on that
guess
myth?
to answer your question, this is probably very subjective and it would depend entirely on the industry and let alone the HR department. So I would
Hmm.
say that what you see may not necessarily be what you get because last I checked as well, a lot of departments that we may, I guess, I want to say stereotype as being, your very typical straight laced, boring, I would say emotionally flat, tend to be the most vibrant and can really surprise you. So I
Okay.
Hmm.
feel that I guess what you see isn't always maybe what it seems and what is
So you're basically
applicable
saying
across all
accountants are cool.
departments. Oh, they absolutely are. Some of the accountants that I've had the privilege of having friendships with and also having I guess corporate friendships with are some of the most hardcore drinkers I have ever met. They will just, I mean, they will drink you under the table. You wake up, you feel like you've got cirrhosis. You never understand how you could have possibly subjected yourself to that amount of alcohol abuse.
Hmm.
And they're
So
just
yes.
sitting there plotting their Excel spreadsheet, going ready for
Oh, they
round
could
two.
do it with their eyes closed. If they wanted to really impress
Hmm.
you, they'll be like, "Yeah, I am a freak in the sheets. Watch me do my Excel."
They're freaks in
See
the
Well,
how it
spreadsheet.
really grabs the girl's attention.
that
Uh-huh.
I guess the silver lining for me is that I'm just happy to realize that we're not the only ones still using Excel spreadsheets in
Oh,
2025.
it's a everyday part of my existence and the bane of my existence too. Error one some output and next thing you know you've just completely obliterated an entire spreadsheet and you pray the undo button works. Control Z is your best friend.
Excellent.
Hey
So,
girl, wanna have a look at my macro?
Absolutely. Show me that, man. Whip out those tables. See how many. I want to see how good your VLOOKUP is.
is is that the pickup line that's working these days for the Excel nerds?
I don't think so. But you could see how well your macros would pan out with the female crowd. Let me know. Find out. We could do a standard distribution graph.
Oh, talk nerdy to me. Yeah, that's it.
Exactly. That's how
Oh,
classify the wheat from the chaff. Talk nerdy to me. See how good you are.
it
Uh,
is pie charts considered sexy?
Depends. I mean, if you're a definite Power BI user, get all over that like beans on rice, man. Come at me. Show me how good your Power BI is. Oh yeah.
oh,
You
that's
go
some
into
next
SAP.
level nerdiness.
Oh,
Yeah, we're taking corporate level to the next level today in this podcast. This is epic.
Good
absolutely.
thing Ad is
But
already in the wank station basement, so he's prepared for this talk.
I cannot believe that's become a term now. This is
Oh, it's gonna be a running joke, Addy,
oh,
unfortunately.
And it's gonna stay in this
I've
episode
s- I,
forever.
I've embraced this now. I'm ready, and my soul is now prepared for Bogdan's next level shenanigans.
Agreed. When
Um,
Bogdan
Hashtag
speaks, there's
corporate
no
pistons,
control Z.
hashtag wank station. No, my control Z is broken. Like that's there's no
Yeah, the Z
going
is
back for me
missing.
now on.
There
Yep.
was no, let alone Control Z being broken, Bogdan. Your operating system does not even have the undo feature to start with. So,
There was never any control to start with, okay? There
yeah,
is no way to
exactly.
do a control.
Exactly. You can hit all the letters on the damn keyboard. There's no control on it. So,
Face roll over it. Upgrade, you say? No, that upgrade does not exist. Just leads you in circles.
exactly.
Uh,
But just keeping an eye on the time, though.
Yep.
Shall I try and nudge it back into the main topic?
Of course.
yes, you can shove it in there, boy.
So, Ramon,
Yes.
uh, women in workplace and the glass ceiling in
Yep.
in the male dominant. Now, uh, we'll let you rant for at least 5 or 10 minutes on this, but before that, one question to just start off. You said you're now in the marketing field. Is that a male-dominated world, though? Because I have a strong suspicion that it's probably one of the not, or at least my lame assumption is that it's not one of the male-dominated verticals or fields. Is that, am I right or wrong?
Yeah, I mean, I'll definitely say you're not wrong there. Marketing fundamentally, at least in my experience, has been very more geared towards women. I don't know if it taps
Mm,
into our ability to be a little bit more empathetic, understanding, emotional, and
mm,
I guess a little bit more hands-on in terms of trying to understand our overall audience. But when you're
mm,
extending that, especially into male-dominated fields like engineering, like aviation technology, um,
mm, mm, mm.
these tend to be a little bit more challenging, I would say,
Yeah,
because you're okay, one, you're fighting egos, and
yeah.
it's always about, sometimes being able to effectively manage those egos, which may not otherwise agree with you. So sometimes it feels like you're hurting kittens, but it is what it is. And you make do. I mean, if they're all going everywhere, you have to hope for the best.
Right, right,
And
yeah.
especially if you're, looking in industries where retrospectively it's more of a what I say goes, not a hey, let me propose an alternative to this. Let's
Mm,
consider, maybe remarketing a product that we want to get out there, or this is
mm,
not successful. What are we using to actively promote it? Has this been the way you've
mm,
always done it? And quite
mm,
a number of times I've actually been met with remarks where, it's just been, yeah, this is the way we've always done it. I'm going, okay, I do understand the whole if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But what if I propose to you an alternative that may actually work? And obviously, at
mm.
the end of the day, you want to see effective results. You want to see that if you're given the leeway to actually work with what you've got,
Yeah.
especially if you're also, in this economy on budget constraints, you want to make sure that you're getting a significant ROI, especially if you're wanting
Yeah.
to strategically promote a product or an event or market something that you want to get out there, especially for your company.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to be
Mm-hmm.
mindful of the audience that you're marketing to, which may sometimes be something that, could otherwise get overlooked and may not
Mm-hmm.
always be effectively communicated across. So, yes, sometimes it can be very challenging. I could tell you countless stories of how difficult it is to be in a room where you are surrounded by corporate management and you're trying to propose an idea, but it's
Mm-hmm.
just you're feeling like you're just slamming into a wall. Everything gets rejected. Oh, this is not effective. Oh, this ain't working. All right, tell me why.
Even if you, yeah, even if that was going to be my follow-up question. Even if you back it up with proper reasoning and numbers and facts and figures.
Sometimes, even if you have the lay of the land, you have the foundation, you have everything that's pretty set up, it can also even so much as boil down to fighting that ego. And I know
Okay.
without sounding terrible, sometimes you really got to stroke that ego and you got to
Yeah.
make it
Yeah.
work well enough. And sometimes, you may not necessarily agree with the direction that, say, your corporate management may want to go in, but you got to respect it. But at the same time, if you are given the opportunity to challenge it, man, I would
Mm.
definitely say go for it. But just, err on the side of caution. You don't want to always kick the hornet's nest
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
at the end
Yeah.
of the day,
yeah.
you can only wield your level of influence so far. So you got to do it
Yeah.
mindfully.
So
Pick your
so
battles,
as a
basically.
yeah,
Absolutely. Do
more
you
or
want to be right
less,
or do you want to
if
be
it's worth it
happy?
for you. Yeah. But
Sounds
I
like a
mean,
marriage.
I guess that what would you know about marriage, Bogdan, especially having discussed all the let's say liquid lifestyle that you lead?
Not very much indeed, yes.
Exactly.
Is
No,
there a
I'm just
test that
Okay,
we
I'll
joking.
could
go back
check
to my
for
corner.
Bogdan's blood to alcohol content?
I don't think we need it, Ramon. I don't think Bogdan's level ever changes. I think it's already
Ah,
50-50 constantly.
okay.
Thing
Or
is, I
at
talk a
least
lot of shit even sober. Like, I don't need alcohol to be an idiot. This is my natural
well,
state. Alcohol helps for sure, but
It perpetuates it. Figured.
so so going back to the like uh e even though so you say picking the battles that you want to win and
Yep.
fight, right? D- Are you, at least in your field, in your workplace, are you seeing, is it a challenge? Is it an apparent challenge for you as a woman compared to somebody who might be like your coworker who is a male who is able to, get stuff done with fighting less for the same sort of thing?
I mean, Adi,
Would you
that's a
say
good
that that sort of
question.
inequality? Yeah.
Yeah, there's always that sense sometimes, and most people try to be very diplomatic about it, but you do
Mm,
feel that there's an unconscious bias, and that sometimes can be
mm,
skewed towards, gender preferences. And
mm,
I know
mm,
sometimes that it can be based on personal preference, but sometimes when it's just too overt and you can see that in
mm,
the workplace and you
mm,
feel that as a woman you do definitely need to, well, at least in my experience, I feel that you have to fight a little harder, when it comes to
mm,
ideas. You
mm,
got to be more articulate. You got to
mm,
really know your strategy inside out. You got to plan everything. But I know some
mm.
people say, well, you can't always plan everything. Well, that's true, but you really damn well have to try
But
because, yeah,
at least you need to be a little bit ahead of your male colleagues to bring across the same point or similar point, is what you're saying.
retrospectively, yes, but I can definitely say
Mm,
I'm privileged enough to be in an environment where your thoughts and your proposals and strategies now
mm,
are understood and are respected. And if you come from a standpoint where,
mm.
fundamentally you want to help the company and you want to be
Yeah.
able to, I guess look into the interests of the company strategically, that
Mm,
they can definitely understand that a lot better and they can definitely respect your opinions. I mean, there's always got to be a rationale as to what you're proposing, right? You don't just pluck an idea out of the air and say, all right, this
right.
is what I got and I want to
of
Yeah.
work with
course.
it. And there's always that justification. You got to propose something. Yeah, give me the why. Give me the how you're going to do it.
Mm,
Give me what's going to happen. Do
mm,
you have historical data? So I will say sometimes, especially in the past, it has been a lot more challenging as a woman to be
mm-hmm,
able to put our ideas across or to get our messages across. I don't know if
mm,
it's, I guess, maybe part of like the stereotype, but I feel that now times are definitely changing, especially for women. And the
mm.
thing is, the prevalence of, I guess, being able to achieve work life balance. That's always been a narrative that's continuous. And I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. And,
Yeah, no,
given
for
that
sure.
women, marriage, having kids, it's obviously part of that. And for some people, it is part of their repertoire. And for others, maybe it's something that, isn't part of their long-term goals. But at the end of the day,
Mm-hmm,
I always feel that for women, we always need to, I guess, push a little bit harder in order to,
mm-hmm,
I guess, progress ourselves, especially when we're growing and working in the corporate life. Because like what you were
mm,
saying previously, marketing tends to be a role that predominantly has more women influence than men. Just like how
mm-hmm.
sometimes I'm seeing that, if you were to look back, engineers used to be always men, but
Yeah.
now you're seeing a change in
Hmm.
that. There's obviously women in STEM. You're seeing a lot of presence of women across once originally pro male dominated
Mm.
industries, and I think that's a really fantastic change. But
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean,
hmm
j just along the same lines, like I remember when I was in university, I went to, I did engineering,
uh-huh.
and my engineering graduating class had 110 guys,
Mm-hmm.
and I am not joking, 4 to 5 women. One of them had dropped out,
Wow.
and it became four in the end that graduated with me. It
Wow.
was insane.
Wow.
But on the other hand, the marine biology department across the street, that was the complete opposite. There were 6 guys and 98 women or something in that graduating class in marine biology and biology in general. But the reason why I said marketing, I was hoping was a bit different was because the business administration department in my university, it was
Mm-hmm.
always a 50-50 or close to it. It was like a 45-55 or 55-45, the other way around. It was never way off 50-50. It was always balanced. And these guys like used somehow would have the best time at parties because they knew men and women from their class and they were, a lot more comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Ours and the marine biology department, on the other hand, all the women, they're so used to being just around women, and that caused awkwardness. And guys being guys always make
Uh,
everything super out. I mean, case in point, we have one today. So it's
hey,
so
I feel attacked.
well, Bogdan, I'm just using you as a male reference for the world. So it's nothing to be shy of. Don't worry. No, I
The
just meant, like,
stereotypical male dummy.
yes, exactly. Don't worry, I'm part of your crowd. I'm not excluding myself, but uh,
That's
you
fine.
you stand out a lot more. That's all. No, but
That's the
Ramon,
nicest
so
way
what
I've
I
ever
was.
been insulted.
Well, that's my thing. That's how I am. Uh, but Ramon, so basically, what I was saying was like, hopefully, or at least for you in the marketing field, that it's a bit more balanced. Than I mean, I understand what you meant. Like when you go into specific companies or for specific industries to do the marketing, it probably becomes male dominated, like aviation or in engineering or something. But at least I hope in your immediate circle, it's a little bit more balanced.
It's
Um,
it there's definitely a change. I mean, especially when you're looking at things that are more marketing strategy based. I find that there's actually a male presence there, which I think is great. And
mm,
I think that should be something that should be encouraged a lot more. I'm not sure if it's
yeah,
a guy thing, to want to look into the
no,
whole
it's
flashy, pizzazzy stuff of understanding products and how we understand the persona of the consumer. It might be a little bit more on, tapping into the softer skills and not relying too a little
right,
bit too much on the harder skills, which could sometimes
right,
be, something that could be more emphasized. But at the end of the
yeah,
day, sometimes it could also be personal preferences. And
mm,
I also feel that when it comes to certain industries that tend to be, predominantly male or female, there may be that initial apprehension to want to go into that industry because you might stand
mm-hmm,
out. But I also see
mm-hmm,
that as a very positive double edged sword in the sense that
yeah,
why not want to stand out? Why not show what you can actually bring to the table? And
right,
why not see
exactly.
how well you can actually do in that?
Mm,
And I think with that, Ramon, you're already starting to answer the question I haven't yet asked. But
Oh,
because you did mention, that retrospectively there were times, or you do see the need to sometimes as a woman to work a bit harder uh, to not necessarily to stand out, but to prove the point or to
yep,
get your point listened to and be heard. And my
yep.
question was more on the lines of, what motivates, or where do you find the energy to keep putting up with that practice? Because end of the day, yeah, it's something that's unfair and it shouldn't happen. But since it is happening, unfortunately, where do you get the energy to keep putting in that extra effort?
That's a really good question. I think in terms of
Thank
being
you.
able to get the energy, it would want to be more along the lines of not just being able to prove that you are good enough to do what you can do, but I think also
Hmm.
it's an opportunity to pave the way for people who may not have had that opportunity in the past and
mm,
who may have their
Oh,
thoughts and
wow.
ideas and what they want to pitch perhaps shunned or not heard. And
Mm.
I feel that if you can, just, as a female, bring that opportunity up for people, make sure their voices are heard, make sure they're listened to as well, and not be afraid to put up those people who have really good ideas and very good strategies to, give them that, I guess, that step forward. I think that's what keeps me going. But also, at the end of the day, I mean, if we want to talk about egos, sometimes it's, you are a byproduct of the environment that you're conditioned in. And when you're
Absolutely.
surrounded
Yeah.
by a lot of
Mhm.
very strong personalities, you yourself want to also, I guess, have that as part of your panache too. And I know for especially women in the workplace, if we're very
Mm.
strong-willed, we always get labeled as a bitch. And
Yeah.
sometimes,
Yeah.
it's kind of nice to be a hard-ass bitch. It's good to like
Yeah.
get your point across.
It's better to be a bitch than a pushover.
Yeah,
I would
and
I would imagine.
it makes it a little bit more harder as well as a woman because
Hmm.
sometimes we get labeled as, if we're too strong or too headstrong in our ideas and what we're trying to do or the message we're trying to get across. They're like, God, she's such a bitch to work with. Yeah, am I really a bitch or are you just difficult?
Or are you
Oh,
or are you a pussy?
I mean, I try not to say that because I always feel if I use that, a cat will magically appear, which would obviously be something really nice to look
No,
forward to.
because if we are gonna go and label women as bitches, then women should absolutely be allowed to label us as pussies and clowns or whatever else you want to call us.
Adi, I would love for you to say that in my corporate boardroom and see what happens.
I'm happy to. You want you
oh,
I'm happy to jump on a Zoom call if you want one of these days.
hey, sign me up. I'll back you guys up. Like,
That would be
say it to my
wonderful.
face.
If only, I mean, I always feel that there should always be the opportunity for one day of the year, like the Purge, where everyone gets the right to say whatever they feel at that very moment, at any time of day,
Ooh,
just for that one day.
I
Yeah.
I
corporate
I do
purge.
want to go on. Sorry. Go on.
No, just I was daydreaming about what Ramon just said. A corporate purge where you can just
Exactly.
send out all the emails exactly as you wanted them to.
Yep.
Tell all the meetings
Exactly.
just to say
Instead of
fuck
the as
you
per my
and
last
hope you die.
email, just really immediately just kind of go, motherfucker, did you actually read this?
Oh,
Just
if that sort of response were allowed in the corporate world, oh man. Oh.
Or as my reference to, as translator, you didn't read shit that I attached, did you?
Oh
Are
man.
you
But
stupid or are you just playing difficult,
And they'd be like, wait, don't even answer that. That was rhetorical, in case you didn't know.
instead instead of saying just to clarify, and say, how many fucking times do you want me to repeat this, you dumb idiot?
That would be translated to referencing my previous email. Please see attached.
Yeah. Oh man. I do want to bring up one slightly controversial point though.
Sure, fire away.
Especially
Ooh.
uh, I'm really, really all for a balanced workplace for men and women and
Mm-hmm.
equality. There's absolutely no denying
Hmm.
and nothing ambiguous about that, right?
Yep.
I feel
Um,
there's a but coming.
yes, but where I have an issue is it, the I'll take this is going to get super controversial and political, but I'm okay with it.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take the German government for example. A few years ago, when Chancellor Scholz got elected. I don't know if you follow German politics, but I'll just give you a very rough.
Sure.
The opposition party got elected a few years ago, SPD, and when they came to power, just for the sake of diversity and balance,
Mm.
without really going in depth, they elected 8 male cabinet members and 8 female cabinet members. Now,
Mm-hmm.
don't get me wrong, this argument goes both ways.
Yep.
I
Mhm.
personally, as I mentioned, like even for the startup that I run, the only thing I care about is if the person that I'm bringing in can do the job. Are they trustworthy? Are they skilled and competent enough to handle it? I don't care if they're a guy or a girl or whatever. And just for the sake of having diversity, putting the wrong gender or people into the respective seats is a wrong thing, I think.
Mm.
Because especially, okay, I mean, in a small startup it's fine, it's a small mistake, you can fire them or hire somebody else, whatever else. But when you're talking about like a cabinet of ministers,
Mm-hmm.
there's no room for like, oh, let's try this out, and if things fuck up, we'll go fix it. There's no time for that because the entire country rests on what you do and the decisions that you make. And a small bad decision or incompetence can go a very long way in damaging quite a lot of things in the public world.
Mm-hmm.
And in that sense, again, like I said, this goes both ways. On that cabinet, there were male cabinet members who weren't fit for that job, and there were definitely female cabinet members who weren't fit for their job that they got.
Mm-hmm.
So I think um, it is still important. At least now, I'm just talking as an entrepreneur, as like a company owner. It is super important to make sure you have the right person in the right seat at the right job, rather than just going for diversity and equality just for the sake of it, I would say.
Absolutely. I mean, at the end
Absolutely.
of the day, you want to find, I guess this is a very overused phrase, but I'm going to use it. It's
Mm,
going to sound super corporate but you always want to find the best fit when you're
exactly.
hiring somebody. And
Yeah.
sometimes, the person that you may want may just happen to be a male. And this also can affect, I guess, more corporate companies where DEI is or at least DOI now, I guess that's what it's newly
Mm,
coined, to be
mm.
a
What's the
limiting
O
factor.
for?
I can't remember.
Sorry, caveman here. What's
but
the
but
O for now?
apparently like DEI is no longer something that's used now. It's like DOI.
Okay.
Okay. I
And
need to Google that acronym now. Like I
yep.
was fine with DEI. I don't know DOI.
And sometimes, you may not necessarily hit that quota, and that's really unfortunate.
Mm,
So that's something I guess would be for, I guess, a question for HR to think about. At the same time, you also want to be mindful that I'm sure, without a doubt, there's always going to be somebody out there who's going to be more than capable of being able to
yeah.
do the job that you're seeking, who may also
Yeah.
happen to be, a woman.
Yeah. Exactly.
Hmm.
Exactly.
So, food for thought.
No,
For me,
that's fair.
yeah, for me
Go on,
personally,
Bogdan.
just
Sorry.
going back to your point, Adi, I think the whole purpose of diversity and equality overall, I think it's I don't think it's the right approach shouldn't be going by a quota like you said, just for the sake of it, because
Mm,
then you have, like you said, on both sides, male and female, you can have the wrong person in that place just
exactly.
for the sake of balancing out a scale. But I think the whole diversity and equality perspective is just to ensure that the people that have the right qualities and strengths have the same opportunity to rise to the top and in the end land in that shiny top position that in this case the government elected position,
Mm.
I agree. I
so
agree.
for me, I
And
think
then
that's
to
the most important part.
yeah, no, I completely agree with you. But what uh, I think is, if you want more diversity and equality at that level, you need to start promoting diversity and equality at a much lower and much earlier phase
Exactly.
of people's life, like in
Mm.
schools and stuff. And that's the right way to go about, because then a girl who may have had interest in or let's, I mean, that's a very cliche example. I'll use the
Mm-hmm.
other side. Like, if there's a guy who was, genuinely interested in like biology or like botany or something, which is normally female dominated, and he's then encouraged to go into that field from his school time, like during his school days, then that's a fair thing to do, and the right thing to do.
Hmm.
If you let it slide, let the person become some average IT software engineer and sitting in some cubicle, and he's miserable. Uh, mm,
That's a wasted opportunity.
a wasted opportunity, and then you can't complain and bitch about diversity and equality at that stage. You can't do it in a corporate level.
I mean, that's the reason
So
why when you want to talk about people in their current professions,
yeah,
one thing I always like to ask them, especially if they've had a long tenure in their role, is, do you like what you do?
yeah,
And then they'll
exactly.
say, there are elements of it. And, there are also other elements that I may not necessarily agree with. And I said, that's not answering my
Yeah.
question. What I'm asking you is, do you actually
Mm,
like what you do? And you will find
yeah.
majority, I dare say, if I had a chance, based
Mm,
on my sample size, a good
hmm
80% don't like what they do,
No, certainly
but they
not.
won't admit it.
At the end of yeah, they won't. Yeah, that's right. I mean, at the end of the day, a lot of people, I mean, a large majority of the people around the world, I think, who have just simple corporate jobs. Not that there's anything wrong with it. I think they're just working the job just to make ends meet and put food on the table.
Hmm.
Um, and that's
Skills
the
to
only
pay the
way.
bills.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
That's the only way they know how to go about. But anyway, yeah, no, I completely agree with that. Um, I just want to touch on the next topic.
Hmm.
You mentioned it very briefly, Ramon, and Bogdan, I think you mentioned as well. Uh, Social life from a
Yes.
woman's perspective.
Well,
Go.
that's a happening one. Where do you
So
want to start with that?
all the juicy gossip, of course.
Holy cow. I mean, when you're juggling a job, and especially if
Yeah.
you've got one that's a really demanding one that has you working across time zones, it's
Mm,
not always easy to maintain a social life. I always feel that there's always, how do I say, there's always going to be one element of your social life
mm,
that's going to
mm,
suffer. So, say for
mm,
example, if you're thriving in the workplace, maybe your diet and your social skills might be compromised as a result of it. Or if your fitness and your health is really high, your workplace and your work environment might be a little bit terrible, and that might take a back seat. So
mm,
it's very difficult to actually maintain all three unless I believe that you're, completely and utterly psychopathic, to which you can actually
mm,
maintain all three at once, to which,
mm,
hands down to you.
mm,
I would love to have you, tell me your pearls of wisdom, but I don't think I'd be able to manage that. So definitely, I feel there's always a compromise that you need to make. You won't
mm,
necessarily get all three and manage all three really effectively, but
mm,
I think knowing when to step back is a big deal. And the problem
mm,
is when you're
mm,
in a role that's really demanding, which I'm sure that both of you would
mm,
be able to understand as well, because no doubt we're all corporate people
mm,
here, right?
mhm.
You
Of
always
course,
have to find
professionals.
a way to find a medium that works for you. If that
Yeah.
means dialing back work, maybe a couple of hours in order for you to get your, weekly exercise in, or maybe dialing back your exercise to go out with friends and catch up and still maintain that level of socialization, and just make
Mm,
sure that you like keep in contact with your friends instead of ghosting them, or hell,
mm.
even, I mean, if you're single, dedicating some time to swipe right on someone. I mean, most of the time, I don't know about you guys, but a lot of the people that I've spoken to in my friendship group, they Tinder on the toilet. So I guess that's how they do it to be effective managers. Swipe right while you're taking a dump. If it works, hey.
I thought that's what virtual team meetings were for, just dial in and start swiping.
But online dating has never worked for me, and it never will, and I am never ever going to try it again, ever. I'm done.
But
I
I
Not
will
hate
with
it.
that
I
definitely
don't like
mentality.
contest
it.
with you on that.
I don't I also read a couple of years ago that men of Indian origin also have the worst hit rate on social online dating.
Really?
Of course, not for everybody. I mean, of course, if you're a good-looking guy and if you have a six pack, it doesn't matter where you're from. You're gonna get swiped left or swipe right, or whatever the accept is
Directionist.
or connected. I don't know these things, but um, no, it doesn't work for me. It hasn't worked. It'll never work, and I don't like it. I don't enjoy it. It actually causes a tiny bit of anxiety for me for some reason, and it's on me. I'd rather go out, meet nice people, just randomly and start talking and see if that goes anywhere. That's just me.
No,
But
I think that's
anyway,
actually a
prob
really positive thing. I've come across like groups now where they're effectively networking groups, so not for business, but for just people to
yeah,
actually grow their friendships. And I
yeah,
think that's
exactly.
actually a better platform than, say, having to go on Tinder or Bumble,
Yeah, exactly.
where,
And don't
you're.
get me wrong, I
Hmm.
have nothing against it. I know people, both men and women, who whether they want a relationship or just a one night stand or whatever it is that they're looking for, they'll open their phone, they'll make it happen within 2 hours, and in the third hour they're already meeting with their person. I'm like, good for you, man. That's fantastic. It's literally like online shopping. In fact, it's faster than online shopping to me. It's like,
It's dating
Amazon
Same day
eBay.
has.
delivery.
Yeah, yeah, it's exactly. It's
Amazon.
better than same day delivery. It's delivery in half a day. It's they're beating Amazon at that, and good for them. But that'll never happen to me. So
But one thing I
The
want
the
to
motto for
highlight.
that should the motto for that should be like you'll come by the end of the day or something like that.
Oh, good grief. If you don't, is there a money back
Sorry.
guarantee? How do you get that refund back? You can't.
oh god,
But I think
I
one thing that
mean,
I also wanted to highlight as well, especially if you're talking about maintaining a social life, is if you want, if especially in this day and age where everything seems so transactional, I mean, feel free to contest with me on this, but
mm,
I'm finding it that when it comes to either even just, making friends or just
mm,
catching up with friends or even trying to meet new people, and this is like
mm,
also including the whole dating element on it, everything
mm,
becomes very much on the surface. There isn't
mm,
really, I feel there's not enough, I want to say time, but time is, completely relative, to get to
mm.
know the person that you may be interested in and to really develop something that could potentially, lead to something more. It always seems to be
Yeah,
oh yeah, swipe right on this guy. I don't know where it's going. A couple of conversations later, oh, I just ghosted him. And that's just been something that's just so much now a big part of our culture. And there
yeah.
is this absolute, I'm finding a disconnect where people are just really just looking at each other on the surface and they just don't really want
Mm,
to
mm,
invest in anything further than that. And I
mm,
feel that's just,
mm.
I want to say that it's
that's
disheartening. And yeah, I just don't know if
I
this
mean
is
that's also
eventually
because we're
what we're
starting to
becoming.
have the attention span of a goldfish.
Yeah,
Like
I was gonna. That's exactly where I was
Yep.
gonna go next. Yeah.
Yeah, it's and I will definitely say, if we're going to be like tying it back to marketing, it is exactly that, when we're looking at social media, we're literally doom scrolling, we're suffering from brain rot. We're looking at
Yeah.
things
mhm.
for a split second. If it doesn't catch our attention, we just scroll past it and there you go. So it's
Yeah,
everything's just becoming really short.
you're fighting for less than 2 seconds of people's uh attention and reaction.
Yeah.
So it's getting hard and hard. I was actually we recently had or we're planning for a high school reunion because a 20-year reunion is coming up next year. So some of us
Damn,
got
you're old.
together and got the whole. I know I'm ancient. I told you. There's cobwebs in places that it shouldn't be, but yeah. Um, but the I was speaking to one of my older teachers, and she literally said it is, especially after COVID, after the entire lockdown and everything. Um, she says it's gotten infinitely harder to keep the students' attention, even in a classroom setting where it's
Yep.
supposed to be dedicated and focused.
Yeah.
The teachers are struggling to get the kids' attention. They can't focus for more than like 5 to 10 minutes at a in a stretch.
Best.
Yeah, exactly. And if
It's
we're going to be
insane, and I feel bad.
that's the unfortunate thing. I mean, sometimes I feel that we're at the mercy of the own technology that we've created, and as a result of that,
It is.
we're suffering from the side effects. And if we're going to be
I mean,
talking about having a social life,
yeah.
this is definitely a component of it.
It's like you said, it's fantastic as a business person if you want to reach your audience and sell something. It's
Mm-hmm.
great because the ease and the luxury that it affords to target exactly who you want is spectacular. But on the other hand, we're ruining our own sort of society to generalize things in a way. But yeah, it sucks. I'm just keeping an eye on the clock,
Yep.
not to put a damper on anything, but I do want to go to two more topics with you, Ramon,
Yep.
and one of them is well, we touched on this a little bit, Bogdan and I, in other episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Other than the universal solution, which is alcohol, which we all love and cherish,
Yeah.
what is your coping and recuperation method when you're having a burnt out?
Well, I mean, burnout comes in so many
I
forms, and
I
for
know, I
me,
know. So yeah.
it's my go-to. I love gaming. I'm an absolute avid gamer.
Oh.
I could spend an entire week not talking to anyone, immersing myself in a game, or when I'm
Hmm.
fighting that compulsive urge to throw my work phone out the window, I
Hmm.
travel. And I
Nice.
deliberately make it strategically difficult for people to reach me. So
Yeah,
in
yeah,
my
yeah.
mindset, it's if my out of office states I'm out of office, I am absolutely, utterly out of your range. I don't care if it says I'm in range, I'm really not in range. And if I pretend that I'm actually looking at my messages, I'm really not looking at my messages. And I have to fight that compulsion to actually go, I don't need to answer my emails. So I'm one of those corpos who despite being setting my out of office, I'm still checking my emails, which is terrible. I'm trying to
Oh
disconnect from
Yeah,
no.
that,
it's
and everyone
awful.
keeps on emphasizing, oh, you gotta disconnect, you need to learn when to step away. In my head I'm thinking, bitch, if I step away I'll never come back. There's a very fine line, and I tread it terribly. So I, I look at them and I go, all right, I'm going to pretend like I'm taking your advice, but in actual fact, I'm not. So when I say I'm really out of office, just, if it's just on fire, just let it be on fire. I'm not going to be there anyway. I'm not going to will myself to like physically be there, but my thoughts and prayers are with you.
This goes back to what we were talking about earlier. Don't you really wish sometimes that you could really say what's on your mind? Like when you're about to go on vacation, fuck off. Like I'm not available really means fuck off. Don't talk to me.
I
Uh,
If we
I
could,
wish I
that would
could
be
say that.
amazing because I was privileged enough, and I would say this is a definite anomaly where
You know
in
what?
one of my previous roles,
Yeah,
my out of office messages would be as creative as possible. So I remember there was
yeah.
one, and I was traveling, I can't remember where, and I said, if you ever feel like you're stuck, please click on this link. No, it's not clickbait. Maybe it is clickbait. Just find out. And it's basically a link to Rick Astley singing Never Gonna Give You Up.
Oh.
So I mean, that was basically my way of signing out. I'm like, you know what? You know where to find me, but please don't find me. But please know that I'm never going to give you up. And I think a couple of my colleagues were like, that's not bad, that. That's quite good.
You know what? You've given me a fantastic idea for because my startup is still fairly small. I don't
Uh-huh.
really have a corporate culture set up yet inside my little startup or
Mm-hmm.
startup culture, let's call it. I'm gonna maybe make this a take this opportunity to make that my corporate culture. Like speak your mind. It's okay. Let it out. Vent it out. Just explode if you have to. We'll take it.
Oh,
Meanwhile, I
that's
just got the
I
best
like that.
idea.
Yeah, because the first thing that came to mind was, oh, am I allowed to speak out? No, no. I get like the one-way first
Exactly.
class ticket to HR. Be like, oh, they gave me the express pass too.
The
I'm gonna
VIP sitting.
Exactly. It'd be like, we got the nice table for you. It's a soft, comfy chair. Oh wait, you know what? It's just made of steel and it's filled with spikes.
Well, you
that
know what they say, Ramon. When you say a joke so good in the office that HR wants to hear it again in person.
Exactly.
Um,
And you're like, you know
you're
what? I'm just gonna tell it to you because I know where this is going, and it's only the only way is
oh yeah,
down.
you're getting the full delivery.
It's fantastic. So,
Yep.
I have one more question, and it has two parts to it.
Ooh.
And that sort of wraps up our notes that we had for today.
Uh-huh.
Um, well, the part B is not really in the notes. It just came to my mind, and I want to add it
Okay.
because I'm
We
going to
had the
use it as
notes.
our
Sorry, go ahead.
mind. our mindless scribblings, let's just say, on iMessages.
I was not aware of that, but sure, go ahead.
Uh, because the part B, I'm going to use it as a precursor or as a starting point to our next
Oh,
episode or next
wonderful.
week's episode. So first part A of this last question
Hmm.
or last topic is how do you personally, in your world, deal with nightmare colleagues and assholes and douchebags? Male or female, there's no gender here. Just
Uh-huh.
horrible coworkers, let's say.
Okay.
And part B
Hmm.
is slightly different. What are your thoughts and experiences, if any, of dating in workplace?
Oh,
Oh
okay.
boy.
This is very juicy. Okay, so
Yeah, I know.
addressing your part A, dealing with nightmare colleagues in the workplace. Well, first of all, you make sure that you roll your poison dart in frog venom, and you prep that up really nicely and just give them a slight prick on the neck, and then you just watch while they fall. But
Okay.
that's in an ideal world. Now,
Yeah.
if you're met with, I would say, particularly challenging colleagues where
Mm.
you look at them and you go, I've never become so creative in annihilating you in my entire life. You, one, take a very deep breath, like a really deep breath.
Or
And you
multiple.
just kind of go, you know what? We're both working towards the same thing. We're looking at one, strategically trying to improve the business. I know you and I may
Mm.
have like conflicts and we may not see eye to eye, but
Mm.
I can't do this without you. I know you like things done
Mm.
your way, and I know I like things done my way.
That's
Can we
the
please meet in the middle?
diplomatic
That
finding the common ground approach. Yeah.
Yeah. At the end of the
that went
day,
so
we're
much
still working
more
towards the same.
mature and reasonable than I thought it would be, honestly.
Hey, I
Because I
started with
thought
a
you were gonna
poison
say
dart,
take.
okay?
Yeah, but when you said when you said take a deep breath, I thought you were gonna say take one long deep breath and then slowly squeeze the trigger or something like that.
Bodad, I am
But that's
capable
probably
of
just
being
a
mature
US
where
thing.
necessary, which is a very big rarity for me because I don't like being mature. You know that if I could, I mean, hell, I use coping mechanisms like gaming for crying out loud. So that should already,
I'm
tell you the kind of way that I would like deal with stress. You should see me in shooter
I'm
games. It's
buying a
great.
motorcycle as part of a quarter life crisis. That we're here. I got you.
You got a long way to go, man. When you start your down payment for a Ferrari, that's when you really need to tap us in and be like, yo, I think I need help.
Look, if I had the funds, I would start the down payment right now.
Well,
Like I wish I had that
well,
problem.
Yeah.
Ramon, if that's the baseline, you might get that call from me in the next 3 months. I'm
Oh,
not
that
even
would be
joking.
wonderful. Please let me know which model and which I guess time that I could call you just to tell you that you're a douchebag. Just I could
Okay,
put it
cool.
like on auto call and
Okay,
just be
yeah.
like, "Hey, good morning,
I I
ID. You're a douchebag."
I would need somebody to bring me back down to earth. So yes,
Yes,
I
whenever
will
you
I will keep
rev
you
up
guys in
that
mind.
V12 engine, I'll just shout out like "asshole"
Yeah.
quietly. But okay,
Compensation.
Excellent.
sorry.
I'm so glad I have friends I can rely on, like true friends.
Always,
It's
always.
spectacular.
But yes, I digress. So apologies. Let me get back to your second
Norse.
question, which is
Mm-hmm.
dating in the workplace. I will say,
Mm-hmm.
and I will definitely
Mm-hmm.
say that I stand by it. Please do not stick your pen in the company ink. Like, as from a woman's perspective, do not spill your company ink all over that damn company pen. You'd never like to shit where you eat, so why the hell would you do that for? I mean, okay, I've seen cases where
Yeah.
dating in the workplace, all right, if that works for you, that's totally great. I've also seen
Mm.
cases where the guy dated the girl ended up becoming a psycho stalker, and he had to
Mm-hmm.
actually move departments as a result of that. And in my head, I'm
Oh,
going,
jeez. Oh,
well,
good Lord.
yeah, exactly. Geez, good Lord. So you probably said
I
those
don't
words
think a
while you were
department
like,
change is gonna save you.
well, that too, but I also just kind of like looked at them and went, you shat where you ate, didn't you? And you enjoyed it.
Oh yeah.
And I always say, why would you stick your dick in crazy when you know you're going to see crazy the next day and you can't get away from
Right.
crazy? It's like asking to check yourself into a mental institution and go, wait, you know what? Sorry, I made a mistake. I need to check out now. And
Well,
they're like, yeah, no
that's
returns.
because Ramon, most guys, again, I don't want to generalize it, but let's be honest, it is most guys. Uh, they don't, you know, their brain is usually in a different part of their body, not where it's supposed to be.
I always feel that males
Uh,
have two brains. Sometimes you think with the
yeah,
forward brain that's at the top, and then sometimes you think with the bottom brain. And that bottom brain
yes,
will
I
never
think
lead
exactly,
you to good places most of the
I
time.
think
exactly.
Robbie Williams said it best, God gave men two heads, but only enough blood to operate one of them at a time.
The circuitry is
Yeah.
all wrong. Exactly.
So
So
when it
That's
says go
good.
with the flow, be very careful where that flow is going, because it might take you
exactly,
down
you're just
that.
like, is it going upstream or downstream? If it's going downstream, oh man, you're on your own.
Yeah,
Then
exactly.
your life is gonna go downstream as well very quickly.
Exactly. The only way is
There's
downhill.
no insurance or warranty or any sort of corporate insurance
Nope,
that can
nope.
back
No
you up
matter
on
how
that
much
one.
you're gonna
Yeah.
hope and pray for you to turn back time, I'm just like, you stuck your dick in crazy, didn't you? And they're like, yeah, but I'm like, don't you yeah, but me? And then I suddenly turn into like this old age mother or like some grandma
Yeah.
that's just like yelling at her son in the middle of like a restaurant, and I'm just like telling him off. And I said, I told you, didn't I tell you? I told you, but no, do you listen to me? No, you never do. Now I get to say that I'm right. Now you get to buy me like, how many dinners did we bet on this issue? 6 dinners. Okay, 6 dinners are my choice. All right.
Yeah, but
We'll
Ramon,
go for the
don't forget.
full lobster Commodore.
But don't forget, Ramon,
Lobster
do it for the
Commodore.
plot. Like,
You just created a new
Oh,
dish or a new car. I think you've done both.
it's a new dish.
I
It's
would
a new
like
it's
the
dish.
also a
Lobster
new
Commodore.
car.
Please run me over with it in your V6 engine. This makes me so happy.
No, V12. Sorry, we can't go down to V6.
Oh,
That's ridiculous.
oh, 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 okay, okay.
Hey
I see
girl,
how it
wanna see
is.
my
Yeah.
Commodore?
I feel like, sure, but is that the same one that we're talking about? No.
But
Oh, you'll find out.
that does sort of bring a reasonable close to all the topics that we sort of scribbled down.
Nice.
Um, I'm not going to stop you guys. If you guys have other stuff to say or talk about, I'm all game for it.
Uh,
I
Uh,
mean, it wouldn't
Honestly,
be
I think
called
what I've
corporate
learned.
pistons if it's not about cars, right?
Oh, true, true. See,
Yeah.
you can
well,
see
we're
someone
gonna
here has proper training because she's the one bringing us
exactly
back to our roots. Like someone has to
exactly.
be
So
sensible around here.
let's actually then go to the card topic for today.
Yep.
Ramon, I don't know if you, I think you know, Bogdan and I at the end of every podcast we sort of pick a car that we feel we want to drive on that particular day.
Exactly.
Um, but we're gonna open up that question today a little bit and just go with what's maybe your top favorite or top three favorite cars that you would like to drive or ride in at some point or
Okay.
own.
So this one I think tends to always be, especially for certain people, especially of the women kind, and I'm definitely going to cop flack for this, but sometimes when,
Hmm.
when guys ask girls, what's your favorite car, they'd be like, oh, the pink one. Like, dick, no. Um, no, for me, I am a lot more into like the Japanese cars and the car makes. I
Nice.
mean, I grew
Hmm.
up with,
Ooh.
a Toyota and lately a Honda, but for me, my all-time favorite, and I swear I would throw caution to
Hmm.
the wind, if I were to win the lottery tomorrow, it would have to be the Nissan Skyline GTR.
Oh,
And specifically, it's going to
oh,
be like the
respect.
2019 edition.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. GTR R35. Yeah, gotcha.
yes.
The
And
I might have to
Godzilla.
join Adi in the wank station for this one. Yeah, definitely.
No, we're not. No, no. There's no sharing this station. It's one person per usage. Sorry, this is gross.
Just for context for the two listeners that we have, Adi is currently recording from his mom's basement with a super HD 12 station surround sound system and a massive plasma TV in front of him. And the only thing in
I
front of that
had
TV
to.
is a leather
Oh,
couch, which is basically now become the official corporate Pistons wank station. There, I said it.
good lord.
uh, it's going to be a running joke. Yep.
This has to go in the intro of the episode.
Good grief.
Oh my God! Looks like my home theater days are over now.
Yeah,
I
you got to
guess it's
relocate
time
somewhere
to
else now, man.
burn this place. Especially if Bogdan is saying things like he's going to join me in the van. No, just no.
Yeah, I thought these things were actually like solo initiatives,
Yeah,
not
I thought
co-ops.
so too. This whole
It's
like
2025, guys.
mutual this whole like mutual combined like community thing is not my cup of tea, Bogdan. I'm sorry.
What are you gonna
I'm
do?
all for
Synchronize
sharing stuff,
cycles?
but I'm gonna burn the place to ground if I have to at this rate. This is crazy.
You're gonna have to move your wackathons into a different location now.
Good Lord.
Yes.
Okay, I'm done. I'm done. All right.
On that note,
Yes.
I think
Do you want to
we've come
say
to a
your favorite
close.
phrase, Adi? Yes,
No,
but not
first,
before you say
first
the
I want
word.
to take no, first I want to take a minute to thank Ramon for being here with us because it's been an absolute pleasure and a hoot to speak with you today
Well, thank you
and
for having
get a
me.
little bit of your
100%.
perspective. I think we would love to have you back, and especially, if if we increase our user count to 3.5 users or 3.5 subscribers, we're definitely having you back because. Yeah, we could use that extra subscriber now. So,
Why
yeah, we would
not?
love to
Let
have
me
you
go
back.
work on my
Uh,
marketing skills and get back to you.
exactly. And we talk about being just completely brutally honest. So, yeah, if you're going to get more subscribers, you're definitely coming back. Let me put it that way.
Well, thank you.
That's a
I
threat, by the way, and a promise.
Oh, I like the
Yes.
double entendres.
Yes. That's how we
But
roll.
also, just echoing what Adi said, thanks a lot, Ramon. It's been an absolute blast this episode. We'll figure out
Thank
how
you
to
guys.
edit it in the best way possible so it makes sense. But honestly, you've been amazing, and thanks for putting up with us and our dodgy, questionable humor and remarks. And thanks
No
for not
such things
reporting us
as
What
to
what
putting
HR.
up. You
what do you
guys
Yes.
are
mean putting
absolutely
up?
awesome.
What do you mean putting up? I was gonna say thanks for elevating our nonsense to the next level. It's been amazing.
True, true. I
No,
guess
but
it's
yeah,
just how
thank you
you
so
look at
much.
it.
Exactly. So,
Indeed.
um, on that note, I think we are done for now, for today.
Come on, say it.
Bogdan, go ahead and do your closure. No, it's
Well,
all
my
you.
closure is waiting for you to say it. No, this is your trademark. The listeners want you to say it. So I'm gonna say thank you to everyone who's been with us till the end of this episode. A bit longer than usual, for sure, but totally worth it and zero regrets here. And Adi, where can people find us if they want us to get in touch or become, the
Well,
next guest on our episode?
certainly not in the Wank Station, but we can. Uh, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, all the standard platforms, social media platforms, Instagram as well.
Exactly.
And
We are
please
at
do.
Corporate Pistons.
Yes, we're at Corporate
That's important
Pistons.
to say.
Please do comment. Please do chime into the discussion in the comment section because it'll give us some ideas to come up with for the next podcast episodes, as well as have topics to actually talk about instead of being wankers. Um, and yeah, comment, like, and subscribe, I guess. Thank you so much.
Yes. Thank you very much, everyone. Thanks again, Ramon, for having us.
Thank you
Wishing everyone a
guys.
great day ahead and all the best. See you in the next one.